Hello and welcome back. Today we're taking a look at a video from Feminist Frequency called The Freak Show .01 Whitewashing. Let's check it out. Caution. Super racist images ahead. Might be upsetting to people with actual human emotions or an ounce of empathy. Translation: if you don't care about my bullshit video, you're a racist with no emotions or empathy. Well, lucky for you guys, I have no emotions. I sold my soul to the devil long ago. That's how I got this giant penis.
Well, why don't you get a job and go to work?
You almost had me a job this morning.
I don't believe you people.
Huh? What do you mean, you people?
Sure, the first video was pretty racy, but it's in fucking black and white, dude. How far back in time did you have to go to find that? And trying to connect that with this movie from the present is a big stretch. About 100-year stretch to be precise. You see, what Feminist Frequency wants you to think here is, hey, blackface was really racist. And wow, Hollywood is still using blackface today. They must still be racist, right? Wrong. They're not racist. This is Robert Downey Jr. in 2008's comedy film Tropic Thunder. He wore blackface in that movie as a fucking joke, and it was hilarious. Tropic Thunder was a great movie and not racist. Maybe Feminist Frequency should watch it once before trying to cherry pick clips from it to make Hollywood look racist. This is basically Anita's attempt at conflating the past with the present, and they've failed pretty miserably.
America was founded on the physical exploitation of ethnic others, from enslaved Africans to Chinese immigrants.
Whoa, whoa, whoa there, Anita. America was founded by pilgrims, British settlers, and other European pioneers. Sure, eventually there was a small percent who used slavery for labor in the South, but to say they built the whole entire country is yet another big fucking stretch. I feel like I predicted this last week when I pointed out that only around 300,000 slaves were imported to the US from Africa. And now's a good time for me to mention that I do realize these numbers would increase over time with breeding. But even so, by the end of slavery in 1865, there were only around 3 million slaves, compared to over 30 million US citizens. And remember, I'm not trying to justify slavery here, and I'm not trying to diminish or devalue African Americans and their contributions. All I'm trying to do is be realistic and accurate about the data and the history. I'm trying to live in reality, in the real world, so to speak, which I think Anita Sarkeesian left long ago. So when I hear her bitch and complain and say minorities built all of America from the ground up, I'm gonna take pause. I'm gonna respond harshly, because not only is she over-exaggerating slavery and racism and black people's contributions, she's also taken credit away from the people who really did build America, British and other European settlers.
But while their physical bodies were valuable, early American cinema was not in the habit of seeing them as fully human.
Maybe you're the one who doesn't see minorities as humans, and that's why you feel the need to stand up for these people who you don't know and who didn't ask for or want your help to begin with. Seems like this is more about stroking your ego, Anita, than helping anyone else.
The history of cultural appropriation and whitewashing in Western media, essentially treating other cultures like a grab bag of dollar store toys, has its roots in blackface, yellowface, or brownface.
Here we go with the cultural appropriation shit again. Remember guys, it's only bad when white people borrow from blacks and browns. Oh, and also, Anita is allowed to appropriate that symbol on her shirt from a Japanese video game, the color of her hair from blondes in Scandinavia, the hoop earrings she's wearing are from Latina styles, and the very language she speaks is from England, my ancestors' homeland. Why don't you go and speak Armenian or Iraqi or whatever shit you guys speak where you're from, Anita? I'm gonna skip over these race-baiting clips from 50-year-old movies. We get it.
Native Americans or Asians by white actors who exist purely to highlight the supposed savage, animal-like characteristics of non-white peoples.
If you want us to kill you, it'd be a sweet death, wouldn't it, Massa? A warrior's death.
Well, I hate to say it, but I guess I have to. Some of those peoples being portrayed were fucking savages. Let's not sit here and pretend all Indians and Africans were innocent and civilized people. We warred with the Indians for hundreds of years. And while there were atrocities on both sides, some tribes took their savagery to the next level. There were things like beheadings, scalpings, ritual suicides, human sacrifice. Not all tribes, of course, not all, but let's just put it this way. They weren't called savages for no reason at all. If they were reading books, sipping tea, and living in log cabins, we might call them educated recluses. But since they were fighting each other with sticks and stones, had no written language, and were living in makeshift tents and sleeping in dirt, yeah, few people called them savages. Go figure.
Early cinema trafficked in a ton of these kinds of two-dimensional characters, and depending on the genre, most ethnic minorities got the treatment. Westerns were rife with white actors playing either noble savages, demure Indian maidens, or vicious redskins, while the specter of the yellow peril—
Sorry, Anita, that's just way too many air quotes. That's like 3 in 5 seconds. Give it a rest. And quit beating this point to death. We know Hollywood had racist shit in the movies back in the day. Thanks for the history lesson. Do you have any kind of point that's relevant today, or are we done here?
Culture brought to us, not have to leave home for it.
One of the most insidious tools of white supremacy is its insistence on whiteness as the racial default or as an ethnic empty category.
Jesus Christ, this is some next level bullshit right here. I gotta give her credit. Anita's got her SJW bullshit narrative down pat, but she sounds like she's living on another planet for me. Too many buzzwords, too much bullshit in her vocabulary. There's no white supremacy, white power movement in America. All it is a simple white majority. Anita and others like to call the white majority a white supremacy to make it sound bad and evil. Really, she's just butthurt she's not part of that majority, so she demonizes us out of spite.
White people manage to exist in a kind of invisible zone, where they are assumed to not have a race or ethnicity. This allows whiteness to wear the cultural, religious, or social signifiers of other ethnic communities, as if they were merely accessories to be purchased at the mall. Oh wait, they are.
The funny thing is, these cultures want their things to sell in malls. That's how they make their fucking money. Other cultures have been selling their goods to whites for generations. But recently, SJWs have decided that that's problematic. Whites can't use anything from other cultures because racism.
It's no surprise that a country founded upon the exploited labor of racialized others would feel a divine right of ownership to both those bodies and their cultures. If you exercise total control over a human being, body and soul, then it's not a great stretch to believe that you own their stories as well. Cultural difference had to be repressed, denigrated, or contained. Part of this containment was accomplished by ensuring that opportunities for ethnic minorities in early cinema remained few and far between.
Actually, I think there were very few parts for minorities because there were very few minorities written into TV and film. You're talking about American cinema, right, Anita? Because if you didn't get the memo, this is a majority white country, so our entertainment is, you guessed it, majority white. This is like going to Hong Kong and complaining that there's too many Chinese people in their movies. It's fucking absurd. No one is out to get the minorities. No one's trying to keep them out of movies. This isn't a form of oppression or repression. This is just TV and film parts reflecting the demographics of their audience. But again, because white people are doing it, it's wrong.
There's a giant hole in my grandma.
But it's also no surprise that the roles they got offered still often conform to 31 flavors of outdated, problematic archetypes. The Pan-Asian martial arts expert, the inner-city thug, the spicy Latina.
Well, what do you want to cast Jackie Chan as? A school bus driver? No, he's a martial arts expert, so he's often cast as one. And as far as black people being cast as thugs, well, first of all, they're not always thugs. Not even close. Blacks are probably the most prolific and diverse characters in American cinema, for a minority. But yes, there are many times they are cast as gun-wielding drug dealers. You know why? Because so many blacks in America are gun-wielding drug dealers. If blacks didn't develop a reputation for being more violent and criminal than any other race, then they wouldn't be written that way so much in entertainment. Art reflects life, so to speak.
And the truly, utterly absurd thing is that it's tempting to think of even those problematic roles as a small step up, because things used to be, and sometimes still are, so much worse.
Oh my God. A white person starred in a white movie for a white audience. Woo, woo, woo. Someone call in the PC police. We got a problem here.
But no. It's still alive and kicking, and folks almost seem to be more and more insistent about keeping it afloat. And depressingly, there's so many more. Seriously. What's so hard about, actually casting people of color in stories that are at least nominally about them?
Well, I'm going to counter your question with another question. What's so wrong with white people playing other races in movies? I mean, the black and white examples from 100 years ago you showed, they were pretty offensive, but these modern examples are pretty lacking. These movies are all well done and not offensive at all. No one is getting hurt here. Whitewashing is a victimless crime. The only victim I can even think of is the person who could have hypothetically played those roles instead instead of the white person. But that's such a maybe hypothetical kind of sort of victim, I wouldn't even count it. In reality, these 4 actors Anita's citing here are 4 of the biggest draws in Hollywood. Tilda Swinton, Scarlett Johansson, Russell Crowe, and Gerard Butler. These guys were cast in these movies so they could make more money. They're popular actors. They weren't cast because they were white and Hollywood is racist and trying to exclude minorities. Hell, Swinton and Johansson's characters weren't even minorities. Scarlett played a robot and Tilda played a sorcerer. And I'll bet money that if these characters were played by different minority actors, each of these movies would be less popular and less profitable because of it. And what about minorities taking the parts of traditionally white characters? How come this coveting of each race's culture is only okay for black and browns to do? When Sam Jackson was cast as Nick Fury for the Marvel movies, there was no fuss or outrage. The new Spider-Man movie coming this summer features a mixed girl playing Mary Jane, who is a traditionally white character. Where's the SJW's complaint about that? Why isn't that in this feminist frequency video? Oh right, you can't appropriate white culture. I doubt we'll ever see anyone make a video about that. In fact, minorities taking white roles is encouraged by these folk. It's the goal here. If Anita had her way, there would be exactly 0 white people in American TV or film, and that's a load of bullshit right there. In the end, whitewashing is just another weasel word these social Marxists try and use to make the casting of Hollywood movies look racist and oppressive. It's not. The casting of American cinema, like any other country's cinema, reflects the audience. America is majority white, so what they watch is majority white. It's that simple. Go to Bollywood and you're going to see 99% Indian actors. There's no problem with either of these. Whitewashing is a phrase that should be put to rest, just like white supremacy or cultural appropriation. These are all bullshit terms used by jealous minorities to try and tear down white people. Well, it's not working on me, and you shouldn't let it work on you guys either. What do you think? Is Hollywood whitewashing a thing? Is cultural appropriation bad and evil? Comment below, and thanks for watching No Bullshit. See y'all next time. One more thing, I want to give a special thanks to these amazing Patreon supporters. You guys are the best. You guys went above and beyond the rest, and I love you so much for it. If anyone else wants to donate or join our Patreon crew, link in the description. We're going to be setting up more videos and live streams very soon. Thanks again.